All right, greetings and welcome to the Developing Dad podcast. I probably need to take this off. Let's go back here. There we go. Greetings and welcome to the Developing Dad podcast. I am your host, Michael J. Griffin Jr. Let me fix that bow tie there. This bow tie has been giving me trouble all day. There you go. What's going on, y'all? All right. Greetings again and welcome to the Developing Dad podcast. I am your host, Michael J. Griffin Jr. And today we're going to have a little discussion about some things. But before we get started, I need you to like, comment, subscribe, do the three-piece. That's what people talk about. And share. I need a four-piece, right? Three-piece plus a little bit, plus the fries and the biscuit, right? Plus the fries and the biscuit. In memoriam of the Popeyes for y'all, for those of you all who are from New Orleans, the Popeyes on Carrollton and Earhart in memoriam, right? I know pretty much everybody from New Orleans knows about that Popeyes. It has closed. I don't know when it closed, but I went over there recently and saw that it is boarded up. All right. What's going on to my brother Edwin Ramirez is in the house of the Proverbial Life podcast. All right. That's my brother right there. That's my brother. All right. My brother from another, right? From another mother. Okay. All right. So enough with the pleasantries. Thank you all for joining in. For those of you who do not know, this is the Developing Dad podcast. I'm trying to go four days a week, y'all. 4 days a week around this time, around 2 o'clock. I'm sorry for being a little bit late today. I had some, work stuff to take care of. When work calls, you got to answer. But thank you to you all who are tuning in. Don't forget to like as you come in. All right. So what are we going to talk about today? Before we get started with all of that, I got to get this out of the way. If you want to support, if you want to see any of the stuff that I'm doing, Linktree/Developing Dad podcast. The link is on my channel to the right, but it'll also be in the description of this video. And yes. Oh, we got people already giving me a hard time. We got Jewel in here giving me a hard time. I forgot. She said I forgot you were from NOLA until you said baby in the last video, right? Baby. That's actually, we're going to talk a little bit about that today, about accents and code switching. All right. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about that stuff today. Okay. What is going on, Kyle C? Good to see you. Good afternoon. Another lunchtime live. I'm grateful that you all are here. You know what I did today? I actually took my nap before this. You see, I have more energy. I took my old man nap before this. I cut it down to about 30 minutes though. Okay. So what are we going to talk about today? Let's get into it. Let me get this off the screen here, this Linktree thing. And let's start talking about this. Now, this episode is entitled In the Game. In the Game. Okay, we're going to go in the game. Now, many of you all may not know I grew up an avid sports fan. And I really enjoy basketball and football. Those were my two main sports. I played baseball, I played basketball. My mom wouldn't let me play football because she thought I would get hurt. And she was right because I got hurt a lot playing basketball. I am fragile, apparently. All right, I broke wrist. I have like finger problems and a neck. I almost broke my neck playing basketball, ankle problems, feet problems. All of that stuff now that I'm in my 40s is starting to show up. So my mother was right. Thank you, Mom, for not letting me play football. She said, no, you're not doing that, right? My baby's not going out there and getting his neck broke, right? I almost got my neck broken back. She said, you can play basketball. And then she never came to any of my games. But she loved me still, right? I mess with her to this day. My mom only came to one of my basketball games, and she only came because she was there to pick me up and the game started late, so she had to stay in order to I mess with her to this day about that. I say, man, you ain't coming to any of my games. Not that we were any good, and not that I was any good in high school. So all I was a rebounder and. But anyway, let's stop talking about that. Let's get to the meat of the discussion. So I follow sports. Okay, it's not an idol like it used to be, but I do still follow it. I have a passing interest in it. All right. And I see we have a Jets fan in the house, right? Brother Edwin Ramirez. I almost feel bad for him because the Jets have won Super Bowl, and so do the Saints. Now he wasn't alive when that Super Bowl happened. I was alive when the Saints won the Super Bowl. But the title of this live is A Tale of Two Coaches. We're going to just open up the discussion. You all can ask questions about these two coaches, but I want to play two interviews. The two coaches that I'm going to play interviews from are Todd Bowles and Deion Sanders. Prime time Deion Sanders and Todd Bowles. I'm going to start off with Todd Bowles, and we're going to just, let's do this. We're going to go here. There we go. Let's go to this one. All right, yes. All right, here we go. So Todd Bowles, if you don't know, he's currently the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I do not like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I think I might like Todd Bowles. I think. I know the shade. I got to throw a little shade at my boy. I got to throw a little bit of shade at him, Come on. I know. The Jets have been horrible for a while, but they're better than the Saints this year, so there's that. All right, and I am a Saints fan, so, my passing interest in football is with the Saints. I barely watch any. I don't watch any other games. Maybe every now and then. Anyway, so we're in the game. So Todd Bowles is being interviewed. Now, many of you may not know or may not have seen this interview. I'm going to play it. So he's now the head coach. So he was a Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator in 2020. He took over as head coach this year after Bruce Arians the former head coach moved up to the front office. I mean, he's still a consultant. He's still very involved. But Todd Bowles was asked a question about his upcoming meeting. During this interview was upcoming. It was a game they played last week. But his upcoming match against another black head coach, Mike Tomlin. So let's take a listen to see what the interviewers talk about in this. Yeah, let's hear these questions. All right, here we go. Let's make sure you all can hear this. All right.
You and Mike Tomlin are two of the few black head coaches in the league. I wonder what your relationship is like with them and your thoughts on Steve Wilkes joining that fold.
So if you couldn't hear that question, he asked your thoughts on the upcoming match with with Mike Tomlin as a fellow black coach, and Steve Wilkes joining the fold. I think Steve Wilkes was just promoted to interim after Matt Rule was fired from the Carolina Panthers. So he's asking him this question. All right, let's see how he answers.
I have a very good relationship with Tomlin. We don't look at what color we are when we coach against each other. We just know each other. I have a lot of very good white friends that coach in this league as well, and I don't think it's a big deal as far as us coaching against each other. I think it's normal. Wilkes got an opportunity to do a good job. Hopefully he does it. And we coach ball. We don't look at color.
But you also understand that representation matters too, right? And that when young aspiring coaches or even football players, they see you guys, they see someone that looks like them, maybe grew up like them, that has to mean something.
Well, when you say you see you guys and look like them and grow up like them, it means that we're oddballs to begin with. And I think the minute you guys stop making a big deal about it, everybody else will as well.
All right, so let me give Todd Bowles the. I love this. Now, I'm weird though. Now I loved his responses. He says, "Look, I'm a football coach. When I coach against Mike Tomlin, yes, I have a good relationship with him. But I'm trying to beat him just like," in his mind, he's like, "I'm trying to beat him just like I beat a white coach. I want my team to do well." And he says, it's great that Steve Wilkes got an opportunity because he deserved it. Hopefully he'll do well. He wants him to do well. All of these guys, I believe, want one another to do well. This is a tough business. It's a tight fraternity. They don't want to see other men fail. Now, they don't want to lose any games to these men, but they also don't want them to fail. They don't want them to be seen as failures. And if you have a friendship or a kinship with someone, he says, I have really good white friends that are coaches. He wants to see them succeed as well. So why do you think this is so important? I love how he rejects the notion out of hand, because he wants to be seen as not as a black football coach, but as a football coach, a good football coach. It says, I coach ball. That's what I do. I'm a football coach. Now, we're going to talk about what we as Christian men can take from his stance here. I don't know if Todd Bowles is a Christian. I haven't researched him that deeply. I just really liked his response to this reporter. And then the second reporter, I actually had something to say about this on Twitter. I won't pull up my tweet. I might have to pull up my tweet. But my tweet basically, well, okay, so the second reporter, female, I believe she's a white female reporter. Right? Let's describe her for those that don't know her. I think she's the ESPN reporter that locally that covers the Bucks. She says, you do understand that representation matters, right? I need to educate you. You do understand that representation matters, and that for coaches coming up and players coming up, it's important for them to see, men who look like them and grew up like them. Maybe grew up. I think she said maybe grew up like them. Now, let's just look at me. Look at me, and then look at Todd Bowles. Just look at me. Look at us real quick. Can you find some differences between Todd Bowles and I? We're considered both to be, black men, but just really look at us. We have some very stark differences. If you really pay attention, I don't look like Todd Bowles, and he doesn't look like me. Now, I know what they're saying. There'd be anybody with a drop of melanated blood is melanated, right? So they group us all together, right? I look the same to them, right? To the basically the white liberals of the world, right? We're the same. Todd Bowles probably had a very different upbringing than I had. Todd Bowles' success as a football coach doesn't really impact me one way or another. Actually, it does. And I don't want the Tampa Bay Bucks to win. This is as a Saints fan, I look at it like this. I hope he goes 0-16. Especially 2 losses to the Saints would be awesome. Now they beat the Saints this year, controversially, but I'm keeping it real. I have never, ever thought, man, I hope this black coach beats the Saints. Never. In the Super Bowl, when the Saints played against Jim Caldwell, and it was the Saints versus the Indianapolis Colts, and Jim Caldwell was the head coach, I wanted the Saints to curb stomp him and to embarrass him and to put to bed any notion that his team was as well coached as the white Sean Payton's New Orleans Saints. Because why can't I do that as a black man? Like if I'm rooting for a football team, do I have to see color in everything? Do I have to think, wow, man, this is so great for me that Jim Caldwell's team destroyed my favorite football team. At least I can take comfort in that. Who cares? And Todd Bowles is the same. He's like, man, I'm trying to win games. I'm trying to feed my family. What are you talking about? And that young lady, that condescending young lady who says, you do understand that representation matters because all of you look alike and you may have grown up the same way. How is that? Because my brother and I grew up in the same. I have one brother who's closest to me. He's like 3 years younger than I am. He and I grew up in the same house, and we have vastly different life experiences. Grew up in the same house with the same 2 parents. But him being born 3 years younger than I, 3 years after me, he has a very different life experience than I have. He went to different schools. He has different friends. We went to the same church, and we have a different experience. Now, some of it's close, but think about this: we are as close as anybody could be, besides being twins, having grown up with the same parents in the same neighborhood, going to the same church. And we still didn't grow up the same. He has different experiences that I don't even know about. So if we who are as close as that didn't grow up exactly the same. We have different likes, different we have different taste in clothing, different taste. You could when you all saw me on that video with him, we look alike, but I'm bow tie and shirts and pants and a lot of different other things. And my brother's comedy and I guess the more urban clothes. I don't really know how to describe it, but he's always had a taste for expensive clothes, even when he was a broke high school student. Right? He would always make my mom buy the most expensive thing. Me, I was like happy. Oh, okay, what would you want me to get? Yeah, I'll take that over there. I don't care. I really don't care. I have no style. Right? All right, let's what's up? So let's see. Jewel says, grew up like them. Right. They assume every famous black person has a rags to riches story. That's it. Some black folks grew up middle class, upper middle, upper class. Yes, shocker. We all are different. It's almost like black people are a menagerie of different things. Like you could pick one of us out from out of 100, and we would have a different story to tell you. The one thing that we have in common is that white liberals all look at us the same. That's the one thing we have in common. Racists hate us, and white liberal. I guess that's two things. Racists hate us, and white racist liberals look at us like we all came from the same cocoon, the cocoon of poverty. My parents were middle class. My dad's a pharmacist. Was a pharmacist for 20 something years. We grew up Ninth Ward. My dad bought a house and then bought a house in New Orleans East. I grew up there. It was a middle class neighborhood. That's what I know. Now the East is no longer that, but that's where I grew up. I grew up with both parents. They've been married for over 40 years, 44, 45 years. That's my life. I don't connect with the culture because that ain't what I know. Now we were the culture adjacent, but my parents did not allow me to imbibe the culture. That foolishness was not allowed in our household. So I enjoy what Todd Bowles did, and trust me, this is hard to do, given the fact that I don't like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now it's not to the same level as the Atlanta Falcons, right? 28-3. Come on. And then what we did to y'all, come on, in the first game of this year. But it's all right. Right. I mean, they're a division rival, But I like Todd Bowles. I like what I saw from this interview. Let's just say that. Todd Bowles, way to stand up. Let me go to the scriptures because I want to give. This is what Christian men can take from this. All right. So let's look at this. This is what Todd Bowles did from a biblical perspective. This is not exactly what he did, but this is what we can do. And I want to highlight this from this specific verse. Let's look at this. All right. When Christ, who is your life, shall appear, then shall ye also appear with him in glory. It's a very simple phrase here. Who is your life? It's a prepositional phrase, right? I think my grammar, my sons and my wife are better at grammar than I am. All right. But it cannot, it's a clause, right? It cannot stand on its own in this sentence. Who is your life? Who is our life? Who is your life in this one, right? Because I have the ESV memorized. That's why I keep saying, who is your life? Anyway, let's close this. But it can be a question, and it can also be an asserting of identity. Todd Bowles did not want to be identified with his color in that instance. He did not want to be merely identified with his ethnicity, let's say that, in that instance. He shut that down. We as Christian men should be able to say this. When Christ, who is our life, because Paul just writes that in there like it's nothing. When Christ, who is your life? When Christ, who is your life? Who is your life? Is it your ethnicity? Nope. Who is your life? Christ. That's your primary identity. Anything you put before him is an idol. So that's where we've got to take our minds when it comes to discussions of ethnicity and the culture and anything else that would take us away from Christ being the center and telos of all things, the end of everything. He is our life. And if we start there, then everything will flow from it properly. All of the things will line up. But Todd Bowles said it. I'm a ball coach, man. I coach ball. That's what I do. He's not thinking about whether or not some kid is looking at him and saying, hey, this is a black coach. I can be successful as a black coach because he's successful as a black coach. What is that saying about us? That we can only achieve things if we have other examples of black people achieving things, because I can't look at a white man and think, I'm just as... Let me tell y'all something. And I'm going to be transparent right here. I rarely meet a person that I think, man, that person is smarter than me. It doesn't happen. Or, man, that person learned something that I can't learn. That never happens. Because my parents taught me, you put your mind to it, you can do it. You have just as much ability as anybody else. God has gifted you with a brain that works, and it works fairly quickly, and you're not held back by any mental retardation. Nothing is wrong with you. You have better put your effort, you have better put the effort in to become good at things. And so I never have ever felt, oh, this person is so much. Now there are geniuses out there who are more apt and can learn things a lot quicker than I can. But there is nothing on this earth that if I put my mind to it, I can't learn and have a modicum of success at, if I decided to do it. Now, there's certain things that I'm past prime age physically, and there's certain areas, there's certain time, certain things you have to give up, right? I'm never going to be a head football coach for the NFL because I don't want to be, but it's not saying, or I couldn't be a head coach of a football team. If I decided tomorrow to put all of my efforts into becoming a football coach, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to be a good football coach. Because it's like learning anything else. A classical education allows you to learn any discipline and begin to master it. You'd have to learn how to learn rhetoric so that you can speak well to players, understand how to use ethos, pathos, and logos in an effort to reach men and galvanize them towards a common goal. But you should never think, because I'm black, I need to see somebody black doing something. I've never thought that. I believed what my parents told me. Yeah, you're smart. You can do stuff. Do it. We expect you to. And then they put stuff around me that helped me to be that. Books, encyclopedias, things like that. They expected A's from me. I remember one time I got all A's in 6th grade. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, can I get something for getting all A's, even in behavior? And it's not like I hadn't done it before. I had done it before. But he looked at me and said, why? That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to get all A's, son. You don't need a parade for that. You need a gift for doing what you're supposed to do. See, that's the difference in having a father who doesn't. So think about this. My dad has astigmatism and nystagmus in his eyes. He was a pharmacist for 20 plus years. A physical disability that would cause most men to sit on their butts and collect a check, right? He raises 5 children, loves his wife, raises us, pays for a house, all of this stuff he does with what would cause most men to sit on their behinds all day and do nothing. So of course, when his son's like, hey Dad, can I get something special for doing what I'm supposed to do? He's like, what are you talking about? Every morning I get up and with eyes working at about 30% capacity, and I drive to work and I read little labels on pharmaceutical bottles. And you want what? You want a gift for getting all A's? Ain't nobody give me a gift for going to work every day. I'm pretty sure that was his mindset. He didn't say those words to me, but I'm thinking, ain't nobody giving me a gift for going to work every day. It's the same attitude I have to the day. I don't want anybody to give me credit for things that I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be raising my children well. I'm supposed to be loving my wife the way I'm supposed to love her. I'm supposed to be taking care of them. I don't need a I don't need somebody to, oh, look at you. Why? I'm supposed to be doing this. This is normal. Woe to me if I wasn't doing this. Like, let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. Woe to me if I'm not doing this stuff. I don't need you know, flowers thrown about because I did what I was supposed to do. I know I got off on a sidetrack, but that was just something, a little personal thing. But man, this is crazy. Like people really think that we need to, and here's the thing. I saw my dad do this every day with no accolades. He raised us with no accolades. He loved my mother with no accolades. Nobody talked about him, gave him praise. People would every now and then throw a little bone at it. Oh, the Griffin family is a blah 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 family. See, this is like people think that what I'm doing with my family is somehow strange and odd. I'm just a carbon copy. I'm telling y'all this. I'm just a carbon copy of Michael James Griffin. I got the same name, just with Junior affixed to it. I'm just a little bit taller version and a little bit darker skinned version of my father. I'm not doing anything special. So that's why I don't need accolades. I don't need people to praise me. I don't need people to tell me you're doing such a great job. I don't need people to clap at what we're doing. No, this is what I saw my father do. So I'm just going to do this. I don't need your support. I don't need your accolades. I don't need the praise from you. Because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is nothing special. I know that in the black community it's supposed to be something special because we have an epidemic of fatherlessness and dereliction and people, but that ain't my life. So miss me with that. There's nothing special about what I'm doing. And I'm not about to pretend like there is. Well, I'm educating my children. I'm loving my wife and doing it. So what? That's what I'm supposed to do. You don't get a gold medal for average life. For like, oh, I want to. No, that's the problem we got now. Everybody gets a trophy. You got a trophy for participation? You participated in life? Great. Good job. I made these children. I'm supposed to raise them. I don't need anybody. Oh, he take care of his children. He see his children like once every month. He get his children and he go and he take them somewhere every now and then. I don't want to hear that. What kind of foolishness is that? You praising somebody who ain't really taking care of their children. Oh, like Nick Cannon. I know I'm off on a whole different tangent now, but y'all got me started on something. This got me started on something. I'm sorry, y'all. I need to get back. I'm just saying, man, it's crazy. We really out here praising people who do the bare minimum. Less than the bare minimum, actually. You got people. Oh, I see my kids on the weekend. I take my children on the weekend. Congratulations. You don't need a medal for that. You don't need it. There ain't no medal for that. There ain't no medal for that. Like the world may praise you, but that's folly. That's folly. Ain't no medal. I don't want to hear about how good a father is if he ain't living in the house with the mother. Because loving the mother is a part of being a good father. Loving the mother of the children, taking care of her too. You don't get to just take care of the child. I don't want to hear that foolishness. Now, now you can make the best of a bad situation, but you don't get praise for that. I'm just saying. That's gonna put me at odds with a lot of people. I don't care. I do not care. You don't deserve praise for doing the bare minimum. You don't. Absolutely not. Anyway, let's get to this. Let's get to this next. Let's go to this next one. All right. So that was Todd Bowles. So what can we do? Christ, who is our life. Let's go back to this.
Now is Jackson.
Let me do this real quick. So Christ, who is our life. Make sure that our life aligns with Him. That He is the center and tell us of all things. Right? Like stand up against the foolishness of the liberal establishment. Stand up against the foolishness of progressive Christianity. Stand up against it by proclaiming that Christ is my life. Not the culture, not my ethnicity, None of these things. Christ, who is your life. Okay, that was what I wanted to pull out of that. I know it was a long, long road to that. All right, so let's get a little prime time. Come on, prime time. All right, here we go. This is another interview. Prime time, Deion Sanders, Hall of Fame cornerback, considered by most the best cornerback ever. Right, he also tortured the Saints. So another, yeah. Okay, he tortured the Saints when he played for the Falcons, and he tortured them when he went to the 49ers for a year. And then he left the division and went to Dallas, which really didn't affect us much because we didn't play Dallas that often. So it was good to get him out of the division. But, yeah. Anyway, prime time. All right, here we go.
Now is Jackson State head football coach, Coach Prime. Coach, how you feeling today?
No, straight up.
I always ask you how you feeling.
You was not talking like that just 2 minutes ago. Can you do the interview? Can you come in like you normally sound?
I just want to be clear and concise.
And professional?
Yes, sir.
So being you is not professional?
Well, I mean, I can't say, "Hey, what's up, Co?" I can't do that.
I ain't asked you to do that. I just want you to be you.
Okay, yes, sir. All right, let me start over.
Right.
All right. Joining me is Jackson State Coach Prime. Is that the same?
Dog, it's the same. Like, just be you. Just try your best to be you.
Okay. All right. I thought I was doing that. But anyway, I want to just ask you, you feeling okay?
See, like, if I say, man, what's up, Rob J? That's me. What's up, Rob J? You know the difference? Did you see the difference?
Uh-huh.
That's what you do. And I don't know who you trying to please out there, but I just want you to try your best to be you.
Okay. All right. How you feeling today?
Much better. I feel good.
All right, so I'm just gonna bring it back to that point. This is actually the perfect spot to bring it back to, where the man's looking like, "Are you serious? Like, what's going on? Why are you doing this to me right now?" All right, let me see. I want to bring it back to this part where he's like, "Are you serious?" I want to just have him up there looking like, "Why is he doing this to me right now?" Anyway, so let's just leave it there. All right, so we got Coach Prime, for all intents and purposes, embarrassing this man. Just why? I don't know why. Why did he decide today? All right, so this is, Deion Sanders. Deion Sanders is not world famous, but at least American famous. Defensive back, well known in the culture. Remember back in the days of Too Legit to Quit, right? The 91 Atlanta Falcons. He became a very popular figure because of his play, but also because of his style and his attitude and his the cockiness, the cocksure, like the culture, right? Basically, he was one of those first people that brought the culture into mainstream, right? This is what people like him and Allen Iverson, and let me stop this thing, him and Allen Iverson, people like that. He was the forerunner. He was the forerunner for all of that, right? Prime, right? You gotta, Too Legit to Quit. With Flair, he played with Flair. This was around that time in the 90s, 80s, late 80s and 90s, when black culture was starting to become prominent on television, and rap was obviously growing in popularity. So it's about the culture. So he's a mainstay, has been a mainstay in the culture for years. Now this reporter, I'm saying all of that to say is that Deion has cachet. Deion can be Deion to a certain extent, and not really suffer any consequences for it. He can go onto the NFL Network and talk like Deion for the most part, and he would actually he's acceptable, right? Now there are a lot of black players. If you think about it, there are a lot of black players who are very articulate, and they code switch. They code switch in a lot of ways. And if you don't know what code switching is, it just means that they speak the vernacular of their hood, where they came from, around those who are from the hood, and then when they go into the quote unquote white world, they code switch. They speak a more proper English dialect. So that's what code switching is, for those of you that don't know. Now, Prime is getting on Deion, Coach Sanders, Prime, what up, Cole, is getting on this reporter because he's not being authentic. He talked to Deion. Apparently, he talked to Deion using his normal vernacular. And I'm going to point something out in a second. But when the interview starts, he goes into his reporter voice, for lack of a better term. And Prime wasn't having it. Now, this is unfortunate because that man, that reporter, this fella here, does not have the cachet that Primetime has. He is a reporter who's most likely, yeah, right, yeah, Carlton, right? It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Yeah, exactly. But he goes Carlton on them, right? I'll use that. Thank you, Kyle. So, a couple of things I want to point out with this. Why embarrass another black man who's only doing his job? Deion Sanders knows that that man cannot speak that way on television without some ramifications. He was hired most likely because of his speaking voice and his ability to articulate the English language in a way that multiple ethnic groups and cultures can understand. And Coach Prime uses his cachet in this instance not to build a black man up, but to tear him down in front of everybody. Isn't that awesome? Because he assumes, one, that this man is doing this for some nefarious reason. No, the man has a job to do. Just like when Deion had a job to do as a defensive back. The coaches told him what to do, and he performed the action. If he didn't, and he failed, probably well before. Happy Thursday, Violet. Happy Thursday. So if Coach Sanders didn't perform, or Deion didn't perform his duties as a young football player, because when he got to a certain point, he was never getting taken off the field, he would be taken out of the game. So this man is the same way. He's still in that position where he has to answer. He has to answer to superiors. So this man can't just come into him like, "What up, Cole? How you doing? You hear me? Let me talk to you. You hear me today? Look, I'm gonna tell you something. You hear me? When y'all was on that field today and got down by 2 touchdowns, bro, I was like, man, I'm about to have to go tell. I ain't even want to come talk to you, coach. You know what I'm saying? I was like, this dude really, he out here buku messed up. You hear me? Like, these players can't even figure out what's going on. Now I was going to come up here and I was going to give you the biz. You hear me? I was going to give you the biz. Can he really do that in an interview? No. Now, Deion can get away with that because he is, for a lack of a better term, in that way untouchable. He can be himself. He has millions of dollars. He has a cachet. He has a brand. His brand is that. His brand is the culture. His brand is a 50-plus-year-old man acting like this, dressing like this. But this reporter does not have that brand. He's not a Hall of Fame defensive back that can just live off of his fame and he can't do that. This man needs this job. Why embarrass him like that? Why? This really makes no sense to me because what you're doing is you're putting out there the idea that that black people can't speak this way. I think let's talk about African immigrants. When they come here, do they speak Ebonics, for lack of a better term? Are they taught that way to speak? Or do they learn proper English? Proper English is hard enough to learn as a second language, because it's a melting pot of so many different other languages. You'll get Right. That's it right there. It's pride. Exactly. It's pride. Like Deion has pride, and he knows that he can do that to this reporter and get away with it. Nobody's really going to. Nobody can call him out. That reporter definitely couldn't, because if he did, he stands to lose his job. Violet said, "Nope, that's not what she." You know personally, right? We don't learn we don't learn broken English. We learn proper English. And English is a difficult language to learn. Probably one of the most difficult because of its syntax, because of the changing nature of the letters. We're pulling from French, and we pull from Greek, and we pull from all of these places. Yeah, it's not easy as a second language, I've heard. It's not as easily structured as some of your Romance languages, and consistently structured as some of your Romance languages. It depends heavily on word order, and not it's not a declined language. So yeah, there's certain things. Yeah, I'm in a heavily declined language anyway. But don't get me started on language stuff. I like talking about it, but that's not what this is about. So the idea that this man is really doing this, he's really doing this. Deion's really doing this to this reporter, making him look like a fool. So I thought, well, let's talk about this. What can the scriptures teach us about this? What's instructive about the way Deion taught this man? All right, talk to this man. Let's go here. All right. So even a child is known by his doings, whether his work be pure and whether it be right, or whether his conduct be pure and upright. Upright. This was messed up. This conduct, the conduct of the reporter was excellent, because the reporter just rolled with the punches. Deion was trying to embarrass him, and the reporter did not take the bait. There are people who would have fired back at Deion and lost their job. This man displayed temperance, because Deion was trying to embarrass him, and this is on television now. This is on the internet, everywhere. The culture is agreeing with Deion for the most part. Yeah, man, that code Deion wasn't having that code switching. You heard me? Deion wasn't having the professional voice. And it's always people who don't have a profession that requires that are saying that. Let me tell you something. Let me be 100%. I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. The culture is trash. The language, the attitudes, the behavior, the music associated with it, the television associated with it. It is taking over basketball, it's taking over football, it's taking over so many areas of life. This trash culture, the internet is emboldening it. It's trash. It needs to be discarded if black people want to rise up. African immigrants don't come over here with that. And guess what they do? Excel. And they speak proper English, and they're studious, and for the most part they come over here and they do well. Yeah, they have very high median incomes. That's the kind of but us is right. What is it? ADOS's. We have to do what this man was trying to be forced, like Deion was trying to force this man to do. Check for the culture. That stinks. I have long since stopped trying to check for this culture. It is of no value. It has done nothing for me in my life. But pure and right now, Deion's conduct. So I praise that man for his temperance. Deion's conduct, on the other hand, was less than praiseworthy. Let's say that. It showed, like Violet said, it showed a level of pride that was unbecoming. Continually showed that. Now, this is a pattern of behavior for Deion. I mean, when you live in a protected space like that, a bubble of, getting whatever you wantism, like Deion lives in, you think that you can do no wrong, you know, because the culture emboldens him, and it's sickening. It's a trash way to live. Yeah, but his conduct, and then also ultimately, this is what I wanted to point out for us. Look, for both of those situations, with Todd Bowles and the reporter, right? Todd Bowles stood up, right? He said, no, that doesn't have any place here. You're not going to present me as some sort of other, right? You can't present me as an other. I'm not other. I am actually a ball coach, regardless of my skin color. Okay? This is what, hold on one second. This is what happens when you do things live. That was my little daughter. She's knocking on the door telling me it's lunchtime. So it's lunchtime. But remember, we are pleasing God as Christian men. That's our job. Galatians 1:10. For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I still trying to please man? If I was still trying to please man, I would not be a slave of Christ. The idea for us is that the culture is going to keep pressing in on black men and trying to make us conform. Remember, on yesterday's video, they want us either in prison, under the thumb of a woman, or acting just like women. So that lady wanted to check. The young reporter wanted to check Todd Bowles. Hey, you know representation matters. Follow this liberal agenda. Do what I say. And they brought a young woman to do it. So he can't really go off on her, but he checked her in a nice. I love the way Todd Bowles did it. He checked her in a nice way. Hey, listen to me. I'm not other. I am not other. Stop presenting me as other. I'm a man, and I'm a football coach, and I'm a good football coach. Super Bowl winning defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, not black coach Todd Bowles. I'm a good football coach. Give me the respect that you give everybody else. Don't treat me as other, and then we won't be sort of like what Morgan Freeman said. Remember that Morgan Freeman said, how are we going to get past this? You start treating me like a man, I'll start treating you like a man. Remember that interview? Same idea here with Todd Bowles. Don't try to please the liberal agenda. Don't try to please men who do not follow God. All right? And the same thing with that reporter. Kudos to him, big ups to him for not stooping to Deion's level. Deion is obviously, he's a good football coach, great player, but his virtue is called into question because he's trying to embarrass another black man on national television or on the internet for all to see. Why? Because that man is trying to keep his job and do his job well. He used his cachet as Deion Sanders to embarrass a fellow man. That's not respectable behavior. All right. So I'm about to go eat lunch, but thank y'all for riding with me. Keeping these around 45 minutes. That's the plan. Covering two things. I'll be back on Monday with Manosphere. That's the next episode. I'm going to be covering a topic in the Manosphere. I have two that I'm going to be covering every day. Two things for each topic every day. So Manosphere. We're going to talk about some Manosphere stuff on Monday. All right. But y'all have a great weekend. I'll see y'all on the next one. And until next time, let me bring this back up here. Be on the alert. Stand firm in the faith. Act like men. Be strong. See y'all around.